There you are. I've been looking everywhere for you two. What are you doing in Dalaran?
Oh, hey Sylvanas. We're just hanging out, doing horde stuff, you know?
Yeah, for the horde.
Shouldn't you be killing babies in Kul Tiran like I ordered you to?
Oh yeah, we got the memo about the babies, yeah. Don't worry, we are on it, I promise.
We were just taking a break by doing some old content from back in time when, we used to fight the baddies.
Instead of be the baddies, yeah. It feels pretty good, actually. I'd kind of forgotten. Plus, Dalaran is really handy for portals.
Yeah, it's so good for getting around easily and fighting for the horde.
Well, you're needed in Brennadam. There's still some villagers that haven't been nailed to the wall with spears. What are you using the Dalaran portals for anyway? There's a perfectly good new portal room in Orgrimar that I've ordered everyone to use.
Oh yeah, that's really cool, but it doesn't have all the portals we need, It's just easier to come here.
You are supposed to use the new portal room in Orgrimar. Kotiwik spent a lot of time and money getting it built.
Yeah, but what if we need to get to the Shrine of the Two Moons or the Caverns of Time?
Yeah, you can't just ask us to fly for no reason when perfectly good portals exist.
Can't I?
Burn it. Burn it!
I mean, in hindsight, that probably was quite a predictable reaction.
Knowledge is power.
Hello, Internet, and welcome back to the weekly reset, Taliesin and Evitel's Wondrous Wisdomshow, in what is now the last show before the launch of patch 8.1.5, which is good, mostly because it means that from here on in, it's all aboard the 8.2 hype train, with all the smexy 8.2 Total Heart of Azeroth reworks, new continents, and a one-way ticket to Azshara underwater fun times. Yes, bring on 8.2. Don't mind if I do. But also because actually 8.1.5 is a little bit more than just a mark in the calendar on the way to something else. There's some genuinely worthwhile stuff in here, as well as some unexpected drama, which we will of course be looking at and discussing in detail today, between constantly refreshing the PTR to see if they've put 8.2 on there yet. And all of that is coming up straight after World First Watch, the Battle for Dazar'alor progress battle between our guild, Immortalis, and any other guild with a name a bit like ours. And yes, I know this is the news you've been desperate to hear, since we didn't have an episode last week, thanks to me being tragically food poisoned by a Khorne and Emmental escalop, a disaster which may have put me out of show creating duty, but couldn't stop me dragging my poor, dying body out of bed for 3 painful hours on Sunday night because my guild needed me in this epic race. Now you may remember that last time our main rivals, German guild Vox Immortalis, boo, were leading the way, even though we were ahead of them in heroic progress, due to the fact that their cheeky mythic Champions of the Light kill had put them ahead of us in the world rankings, the heady heights of world 6,497th no less. Nice. And by the way, in the comments section of that video, we found this. We decided to push our eye level through the loot of Champions Mythic. By the way, your guild could have done this too. Greetings, Behemoth, officer at Vox Immortalis. To which I say, oh shit boy, this just got personal, and this is on. I mean, it was already on, granted, but kind of a joke, but that was before Behemoth came along, giving it the adorably polite German trash talk, and now it's like double on. It's like on with bells on. So, inspired by our new rivals, we went into Mythic Champions of the Light, and yes, we 3-tanked it because, and yes, we one-shot that bad boy, which means that we are now officially a Mythic Progression Guild. That's literally what we are, okay? That's science. You can't argue with science. And then we went ahead and killed Heroic Blockade. So, Immortalis Argent Dawn EU, yay, are now progressing Jaina for Curve, while our Deutschen Rivalen are still toiling away on Rastakhan, or should I say Rasta can't, because they can't beat him. And here's a problem that I've just realised about this whole race, because clearly we are winning right now, but Vox Immortalis' earlier mythic kill means that they are ahead of us in the world rankings. So how exactly are we doing this? Are we going to say first to curve or overall progress by the end of the tier? I think for the sake of this surprisingly enjoyable segment, we're going to say both. With the most immediate victory being the race to world first heroic Jaina, and then an overall winner by complete progress by the start of 8.2. That's the rules, I just codicized them, that's official, which means that it's squeaky bum time right now, because curve is in sight, and the brave heroes of my Immortalis will be fighting for it this week. We'll keep you updated, of course, on this titanic tussle of the world's top guilds, called Immortalis. And so we are ready to dive headlong into our main story of the week, 8.2, and speculation of when it will be on the PTR. No, 8.1.5, I mean patch 8.1.5, which will be going live kind of any second, or will already be live depending on when you watch this video. And I'm the first to admit that because of our cancelled episode last week, we are off the pace on this. Admiral Kenny McBride and Ian I'm wearing my pyjamas for this Lang casually announced the release date of the patch in their genuinely really good Art of WoW livestream, and it turned out to be the actual earliest date it could possibly have been, which, you know, fair play Blizzard, yeah, that's excellent, thank you very much. And perhaps helped by that speedy release and the fact that 8.1 and the Azshara Lore raid turned out to be really good, there's even just the slightest air of good spirits among the community right now. People are enjoying what they're playing and looking forward to what's coming next. Even the much maligned Blizzard survival guide got an overall positive reaction, which is probably a bigger deal than it sounds, because honestly, those have been richly downvoted so much they might as well have been called the WoW kicking disabled orphan puppy guides. And yeah, there's a pretty good case that says 3 different survival guide videos that we've already had this tier with 8.1, Battle for Azshara Lore, and 8.1.5 is proof in itself how Blizzard is separating this content out a bit too much. I dare say we'll get another one of these when the Crucible of Storms mini-raid goes live on April the 16th. But when the content is coming at fair old lick, that separation makes so much more sense. And I'll say it again because I think it's true. Had 8.1 launched a month or 6 weeks earlier, we avoid 90% of these very serious heart-to-heart discussions on how good or not BfA is, you know? So 8.1.5 is here. But first of all, what isn't coming in this patch? Well, there isn't a huge range of class changes. In Legion 7.1.5 was the time that most of the classes that needed a lot of attention or rebuilding got it, and that's certainly not the case this time around. There are class changes, most notably Beast Mastery Hunters are getting a slight buff, but not much, and certainly nothing fundamental. But if the reason that you don't like WoW right now is because of the basic class design philosophy, then this 8.1.5 isn't going to solve your issues. I mean, it's also bad news for people who enjoy making class guide videos too, which is probably the bigger problem. But don't worry about us, you just keep crying about how Frost DK is boring. We'll be fine. It's not like we were really looking forward to making those videos or anything. It's no big deal. It's fine, honestly. Now, whether this is because of the placement of the main raid in the tier being slightly different, or whether the class designers are waiting for 8.2 and the Heart of Azeroth changes, or maybe, you know, maybe everyone at Blizz is perfectly happy with where everything is, and that could be possible. I guess, who knows? What is the good news stuff in this patch? Well, there is plenty, but I don't know about you, Internet. Personally, the one thing I'm looking forward to more than anything else is the new portal rooms in Stormwind and Orgrimar. Because who wouldn't love these things? Now, in 8.1.5, for the first time, instead of running all over the place through the complex web of finding different portals from different expansions that will take you to the place you want to go, here are brand new shiny hubs that look great and collect all of the portals you could ever need together. All of the portals you could ever need. Okay, fine, so it may not be all of the portals, it's actually more like a greatest hits, with generally one main location per expansion. Stuff like Ironforge, Undercity, Caverns of Time, Vale of Eternal Blossom, those sort of places, they don't make the cut. But that's no big deal because those portals still exist just like they did before. It's not like they're going anywhere. I said it's not like they're going anywhere. Okay, so the thing is, when I say it's not like they're going anywhere, that might not be entirely accurate because actually they kind of are going away completely forever. Whereas the Cataclysm portals in both capitals are still pretty much intact. Shrine in Pandaria? No portals. Legion Dalaran? no portals at all. So not just the faction capitals above ground, but also that cool little room that housed trips to Dalaran Crater, Wormrest Temple, Caverns of Time, Karazhan, that's gone too. So actually what we've got here in the end is something of a portal cull going on. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the reaction of the forums to this a couple of weeks ago, I did think to myself, wow, people are genuinely reacting to this a lot more vehemently than I would have imagined. This will make a really interesting topic for the next weekly reset. Because the thread this was announced on hit 5,000 responses incredibly quickly. And it's fair to say, that's not because everyone was very keen to express to Blizzard how happy they were about their future portal situation. But then, of course, that evil Khorne and Emmental Escalop happened, and there was no weekly reset, and I thought, ah, well, never mind, missed the boat on that one, such is life. But then, internet, something magical happened, because this week, Blizzard responded to those replies with a blue post explaining their design reasoning behind removing these portals. It was long, it was detailed, it was eloquent, it addressed specific concerns, and it finished on the suggestion that more changes could be made depending on feedback. And the fact that this is just the kind of careful and thorough explanation that we always say we want from Blues on the forums was not lost on the forums, where, whether they agreed with the decision or not, players were united in their praise for the mature way a delicate situation had been diffused from a potential, no, it was a shit show, obviously. Translating, shut up and play our way, we don't care about your feedback. Worst decision ever, unsubbed. Not only they remove things we earned in game, they send Blues to mock us. This is insanity. I'm pretty sure they're doing it to piss people off and waste time. Now, I have to admit that this is a really interesting one for me, because usually in these sort of segments, you know, we have a good laugh at some choice quotes, but I will more often than not have at least some sympathy for the problem being discussed. This portal thing though, I wasn't joking when I said I was surprised by the emotional power behind the reaction to it. I am genuinely shocked by how much people care about this, because I don't really, in all honesty, like seriously at all. It's also quite interesting to note that, like the flying debate, this was a thing on the European forums too, but it's really our American cousins that seem the most put out by what we're going to call, and I can't believe no one's done this yet, Portal Gate. But that doesn't mean that people don't still have a point, or that there shouldn't be some concern with how this whole thing was handled. So let's take a look at what the main worries are in Portal Gate. First of all, there are concerns regarding those portals in New Dalaran that are used exclusively for Legion questing. Blizzard have said that those should appear for players leveling through that content, so that's fine, that's not an issue. There's also obviously annoyance about an overall loss of convenience, but especially for the Caverns of Time, which is an important location to mount collectors, Pandaria raids, now that the only portal to that content dumps you on the extreme east of the continent, and for Alliance players, basically all of the north of the Eastern Kingdoms. What's Blizzard's reason for doing this? As the Blue Post puts it, to maintain a sense of the world having a meaningful size, which I think everyone would agree is a noble aim, and one that we'd all be behind. It's just clearly the case that plenty of us don't agree that removing portals that we've gotten used to using regularly is the way to achieve that. And I think I agree with that. I think, look, for me, right from the start, the real-time travel was always actually quite a big draw for World of Warcraft. I like that travel time is a currency in a way, that there are journeys which are relatively laborious to make. That's part of the fantasy for me. When I first started playing WoW after coming from Oblivion with its fast travel, I remember the sheer time it took to get anywhere on Azeroth blowing my mind in a good way. I remember literally calling my brother up to tell him about it and saying, mate, it's amazing. If you want to go somewhere, I have to, you know, go there, and it takes as long as it takes. Which, by the way, my brother thought sounded horrible, and fair enough, but I loved it. Obviously, I try and play the game as efficiently as possible now, but I still like the travel elements of WoW. Final Fantasy XIV is a game that I also really like, but I don't want that kind of convenience and constant portal hopping in WoW, personally. And in that respect, I agree with what Blizzard are saying they are trying to achieve. However, are they right when they insist that removing portals makes the world feel bigger? Because I'm not so sure. When Legion launched and we had that underground portal room that took us to places like Dalaran Crater and Karazhan, that was the first time I'd seen those places in years. That made the world feel bigger, having a reason to go somewhere and a good way to get there. Would I have been so enthusiastic about all of those missions in the old world if I didn't have a portal to get me there? Possibly not. Certainly, it didn't spoil my sense of adventure that I had one. And as many have pointed out, the way you make the world feel bigger is to put content in it. And actually, BfA, like Legion, is doing a pretty good job of making old zones relevant with current content, but it's not current content people are talking about when they complain about these AWOL portals. Obviously, current stuff is always easy to get to. No, it's generally the farming of old stuff that people are worried about here. Mount and transmog collecting mostly. And speaking as someone who has over 1,000 kills of Garrosh Hellscream trying to get those shoulders, which I'm pretty certain at this point don't even exist anymore, I can confirm the next time I decide to torture myself with Siege of Orgrimmar runs, it's going to annoy me to have to fly halfway across Pandaland to get there. And if I were doing that on 14 characters every week in multiple different dungeons for different transmog and different mounts, that's a lot of needless time added to what is for many players an established routine lasting years. And people do not like changing their routine or having their routine made less convenient for the sake of it. And you have to say that, for example, in moving the Pandaria Shrine portal to Jade Forest, that's what it feels like. Inconvenience for the sake of it. And that makes players suspect that, you know, maybe the inconvenience is the real purpose all along. That every time your trip to Heart of Fear takes a couple of minutes longer, which adds to a couple of hours over a year, Bobby Kotick is sitting at his desk and rubbing one out in pure glee as his evil plan bears fruit and he watches those playtime metrics go up and up, forever up, and he gives the guy who moved the portal a big promotion before sacking him next year. And I don't think that's what's happening. The fact that there's time saved in plenty of these changes shows that, but it doesn't help the suspicion, does it? It doesn't help the image. It's not good for the optics. I've already said the word optics more in 2019 than any other year I've been alive, seriously. I'm not saying optics ever again. The whole selling point of the portal room is that it makes things easier, so making decisions that players see as making their lives harder kind of defies the purpose of it, doesn't it? But whatever I think of the rights or wrongs of actually having the portals or not, there's another underlying issue to all of this as well, isn't there? The idea that Blizzard, once again, didn't listen to player feedback on this. When the community said no, they said, well, we're gonna do it and here's why, rather than maybe meeting them halfway. Or anyway, listen, I really like the new portal room. I think it's cool, and obviously loads of this frustration will come out in the wash like it always does. People who are revered with Keepers of Time will realise that actually getting to the Caverns of Time is now quicker for them. Using the new Xal'atath portal and talking to Zephyr is flat out faster than going via Legion Dalaran, and I know just the fact that I've mentioned that, the fact that I've just tried to help people that might not know that to make their game experience better, will be taken as a defense of losing that portal in Dalaran by some people in the comments. But whatever, some people, not many people, because seriously, who has that rep? Not me, but maybe you can go that way now and it's quicker, all right? That said, those really obvious ones that are grating with people, like Caverns, like Pandaria, it would obviously be good for Blizzard to show some kind of willingness to bend on those. Maybe a mage NPC in front of a portal, allowing you to choose whether that portal goes to Jade Forest or to Shrine, so it doesn't take up any more space in the portal room. Actually, that's quite a good solution that I just thought of there in the moment. Huh.
So that's 8.1.5. There really is nothing else to it apart from what Tally just spent 15 minutes talking about. Oh, except the new allied races going live, of course. There is that. Finally, Zandalari Trolls and Kul Tiran humans will be playable on reset, provided you've completed the related war campaign and gained exalted reputation with the Zandalari Empire or Pride of Kul Tiras. We've talked a lot in previous episodes about how long it's taken these new playable options to arrive, which we won't go over again here. But Blizz have taken the chance to add in some last-minute customization options to the mix. A couple of new faces for the trolls, necklaces and earrings for the Kul Tiran females, including these surprisingly satisfying big hoops, and full beards for the men. Yes, we've been waiting for these allied races for so long, they've actually been able to grow a full beard. Wait, we literally just said we weren't gonna do that joke, sorry. I still think it would be a solid move from Blizz to give players a free race change when they unlock these new options. Like, sure, it's going to cost them a bit of money and all, but the amount of goodwill it would win them among the player base would be its own reward, right? Basically what I'm saying is, Blizzard, don't hire me, I will bankrupt you. And with all this debate about the portals and all the relieved hype about allied races, I think we've all kind of lost sight of what 8.1.5 really is. And in my opinion, it's that this is a story advancing patch, as well as new war campaign missions, which will award you the cool new 2 sides to every tail mounts if you complete them on Horde and Alliance. There's the new Magni questline, which will boost the item level on your Heart of Azeroth. New Naga world quests appearing, which will eventually lead into the return of Naifu that Taliesin is just a little bit too excited about. Hattie's return, which I'm totally too excited about. Even the Brawlers Guild has a new murder mystery storyline attached to it, as well as the transmogs and mount. And if that's not enough questing for you, then there's also the new Tools of the Trade questlines for crafting professions, and the fun items they reward. As usual at this point, not all of these things will be arriving on day 1 of this patch. You know how it goes now. It comes when it comes. The Naga stuff in particular is building up to the Crucible of Storms mini-raid, coming in April. A raid which might suddenly be a lot more interesting to a few people, as we have learned that the loot on offer from those 2 bosses will actually be an item level upgrade from the Battle for Azshara lore, with Mythic Unat dropping level 425, which I think is probably a good idea if you want people going in there more than once. I want this raid to be good because, well, tentacles, obviously, but also because of those interesting effects on the gear. I mean, come on. A trinket that can kill you? Who doesn't want a trinket that can kill you? Who doesn't want to be able to say, is that a stack of unbound anguish in your pants, or are you just pleased to see me? This stuff is gold and I need it to be a success. Especially as there won't really be a world first race to speak of, you'd have thought. The winning guild will probably just be whoever wakes up and finishes their breakfast first. And as much as I'd love to see your methods and your limits be banging their heads up against these 2 bosses for a torturous week or more, in reality, you wouldn't be surprised if it was all over before the Europeans had even fired up their PCs. Now's your time, NA. I believe in you. I've also heard some mutterings that April is a long wait for a mini-raid, but I think 3 months after Battle of Azshara lore is pretty standard. The main question, of course, will be, how long will we have to wait after that for 8.2? Like, how long is a 2-boss raid supposed to last us until Nazjatar comes around? I guess we'll soon know, because if this were Legion, then that stuff would be finding its way onto the PTR very soon after 8.1.5 goes live, as in, like, seriously, the week after. And I hope it does, not because I don't think there's enough in this new patch to keep us going for a bit. We haven't even mentioned the new Wintergrasp Epic Battleground, the remastered Arathi Basin and Warsong Gulch, and our first look at the new Versus the AI Brawl event that's coming up, and not to mention Warlords of Draenor Time Walking! Oh, it's here, fam. It's finally here. Warlords of Draenor Time Walking! But because it was always fun in Legion, the amount of hype that a big new PTR would generate when it dropped hot on the heels of a new patch. Big PTR reveals kind of became part of the patch cycle, and it made the player base excited and overwhelmed, and I think that's clearly a really good thing. I think Battle for Azeroth could do with some really good hype right now. Plus, I want to hang out with cool fish people, okay? I'm totally ready for some N'Zoth and some tentacles and some Azshara and just fish people everywhere. Bring that shit on already, and let's get to the real meat and bones of this expansion, shall we? After watching this, you will obviously be completely prepared for the new patch. But if you weren't, we're linking some extra good Wowhead articles down below, including their 8.15 preparation guide, their lowdown on all of the tools of the trade items, and their guide for getting to all of those places you no longer have portals for. RIP portals, never forget.
I need to know your opinion on this portal thing.
Oh.
I need to know your opinion, because the thing is, like, we have to talk about it a lot, because people are talking about it a lot, and like we have to give it the attention it deserves, because it clearly means like a lot to a lot of people. Like a lot of people clearly think that this is going to make their lives a whole lot worse, and if they're saying that, then I have to believe them, because they should know, you know. But I mean, for me, I mean, just because it doesn't affect me personally, like third world sweatshops, and what else is bad that I don't give a shit about? You know, women's rights, like that kind of thing. I should probably take it a bit more seriously than I do. I don't know, but what do you think?
I mean, when I heard about it, I was like, okay, you know, if you do end up at, where is it, the Pandaria one, it's like Jade Forest now, and then you have to fly over to the shrine.
That one is a pain in the ass. I always hated I always hated it when I used that portal in Stormwind or Orgrimar, and I ended up in Jade Forest, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Why am I... This is so dumb. This is so stupid.
But just, you know, I still relish those, like, early moments of playing WoW and then being like, oop, I need to fly from the top to the bottom of Kalimdor. Don't really know how else to get there. I could probably do some combination of portals.
This did remind me of like when we first completed Antorus and all the sword stuff happened, and you had those missions around the sword, and they're like, you've got to get to the sword, and I was like, I didn't play much Cataclysm, so I had no idea there was a portal to Uldum. I was like, what? Wait, hang on, and I went to Darnassus. I went to Darnassus, and like even getting off of Darnassus and like onto Kalimdor took about half an hour. I was like, what the hell is this? And then I literally flew the entire length of Kalimdor on my flying mount, and like it was actually really cool because I saw the sword like appear in the distance, and it was actually incredibly effective.
It's super cool.
And it was great, but I only did it once, and it wasn't like but those moments are really great when you do go to a place after a while, but that's not what people who are farming stuff are talking about, and that's the thing.
I totally get that. That sucks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I take back my K. My dismissive K.
It does make me laugh a little bit though, and like, don't hate me for this. If someone is like, I've got 14 characters that I farm this with every week, and this is going to make it really boring. It's like, really? That's going to make it really boring? You do the same thing on 14 characters every week, and the extra minute travel is going to make it more like extra boring? That's that's not the thing that's making running 14 characters through a raid boring, fam. Like, that's not what it is.
No.
Like, it's not going to help, but it's not why that is boring. I always thought those people, like, liked the boredom of it. Do you know what I mean? This is not me defending it in any way, because, like, I totally take them at their word. And if they're saying it's a bad thing, it's a bad thing. But it's weird, because I'm having to, like, rethink my thoughts on farming your content and stuff. Because I kind of thought the boredom was kind of the point.
Yeah.
Maybe you watched like YouTube or something as you did it.
Yeah.
Because I get like that with herbing. Like I love just going around and herbing and like watching some videos and listening to some old video game music and like all that kind of stuff. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's like how I chill. Yeah. It's weird. Anyway, it's looking like this video is going to be a tiny bit late. The writing on it took absolutely ages for some reason. I have no idea why, so apologies about that. Apologies in particular if you were waiting on a midweek video last week too, because we have been a tiny little bit preoccupied with the old Twitch this last week.
The whatchamacallit.
Just
the streaming machine.
Just this week and last, we decided to kind of like just focus on Twitch for a few days each week, so that we could qualify for partner. Like, because obviously we're quite lucky, we have a YouTube audience, so like they kind of come and watch the things, so we meet every criteria apart from the amount of days that we stream per month. And we thought, do you know what, let's just do it. Let's just stream that thing, get it over and done with. So we've qualified for partner, and whether we get partner or not, we'll find out. It doesn't really matter. At least we can say we did it.
Exactly.
And on Thursday, Evitel, we bloody did it.
We did it.
We qualified for partner. There was like ticker tape. There was like dancing. Oh, we had a good time on stream.
You had a good time on stream. I had a good time watching you on stream from work.
You got there in the end. You arrived right at the very last for a glorious like. So we'll see what happens on that. We'll keep you updated. But we might be partnered on Twitch. And if we are, then I don't know. I don't think we'll stream any more than we have been doing. Definitely not. We might even stream a little bit less. But we'll let you know. We've got some cool emotes and stuff that we've got lined up and shit like that. I don't know. But the really important thing I always said was like Twitch is fine, Twitch is fun, but not if it affects the videos in any way. And the last couple of weeks it has affected the videos, and that's not okay. So we need to look at that.
Yes.
And get some priority stream.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Because this is the priority. Look, I can't get to sit here when I'm doing the stream.
I know, right?
I have to sit on that chair over there, which is fine. But look, here I get sofa. This is so nice. This is the good stuff. This is the good stuff. When do you think 8.2 is going to go on the PTR?
Oh God, I want to believe really soon.
I want to believe literally next week. That's what I want to believe. I want to believe like this week.
Okay.
Patch goes out literally next week. 8.2 on the PTR.
That would be pretty cool.
I
would say within 2 weeks.
I'd be so happy. I'd be so happy. Yeah. And the thing is, like, because it's a big patch, they need to get that shit on there. So there's always that nagging doubt as well. Like every week that they don't put it on there, it's like, we're not going to get this till September, are we?
Yep, it's never coming.
Thank you for joining us today. If you liked this video, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to make all of these videos happen. So if it wasn't for them, these videos wouldn't happen.
Nope.
What do you think about that, eh?
Yeah.
Sounds good, makes sense.
And if you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. And remember, my name is Venica.
No, my name is Taliesin from me.
And me, Evitel.
Until next time, cheerio.